Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Mental Health, Health Talk with yours truly. I am Christina McIntyre. I hope that y'all had a great week. I hope that whatever happened yesterday, you leave it in yesterday. Focus on the now and focus on the future. Um, Make sure it's a lot of events coming up in our community, so make sure that you go out and support and give back. We all want the community to help us, but we don't do our part and feeding back into the community. So make sure you check out posts and make sure you participate, give what you can, and just be involved. We want to build our community up to its maximum potential, and the only way to do that is the support from the community. Um, don't forget to visit my website, www.becomeyourc.com. Go there, take a look around. I talk about our mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual aspects of ourselves to help unveil our true identity. The only way to become yourself is to know yourself, and definitely go take a look around. I use the chakra system as a way of living. If you're interested in that, make sure you message me. We can sit down. We can have a discussion about that. Follow me on Instagram, Become Your C. I share important information on there, poetry as well. Facebook, BYC, Become Your C. Also, YouTube, BYC, Become Your C. You can go there and listen to all my previous podcasts and stay up to date on mental health issues. So, the topic I am going to have this week is just an open discussion about mental health. It's a lot of information out there. They come up with new things all the time. So, I just want to stay connected with people, let them know that this is a real issue that is affects a lot of people, not just in this country, but in the world also, but definitely in our community. I want to bring more awareness to mental health and letting people know that they are not alone, letting them know that there is help available, and let them know that they are okay the way they are and they don't have to feel ashamed for having mental health issues. The definition of mental health illness is a wide range of conditions that affect mood, thinking, and behavior. So, a lot of times things happen in life, our moods change. But if there is a consistent day to day change in your mood, or you feel like you're not yourself, you may be affected by having a mental health issue. And the only way to do that is to know yourself, right? Pay attention to the signs, pay attention to changes, pay attention to your behaviors. If you feel like you're in a space that you don't want to be in, you may want to talk to your doctor and maybe go to therapy, maybe do some things that can help bring you out of it. A lot of times things happen in our life, but when these things start to affect our life in a negative way, we definitely need to do something about that. Also, if you ever feel like you are at your wits' ends, that you feel like life has no meaning anymore, you think suicide is an option, let me tell you that I've been there. I've been in that space, but it's never an option. I believe that we all have purpose and we all have meaning and we all belong here for a reason. And so I want you to think of other options, right? I know life can get heavy sometimes. It can feel like you're overwhelmed. It can feel like you're in it all alone. But there are people out there that love and care about you and will support you. You have to take the first step. And I will give the suicide hotline, which is 1-800-273-8255, or you can visit suicidepreventionlifeline.org. Just make sure you reach out. I know things can happen in life. Everybody has their own experiences, and sometimes those things feel like it's devastating to us. But knowing that there is sunshine after all of the rain, and that life can be possible, you can live the life that you want if you continue to fight for yourself. And so I urge you, don't give up on yourself. I know that it can seem like everything is coming down on your shoulders. You feel like there's no way out. And so suicide sometimes feel like it's the only option, but it's not. It's just sometimes a quick fix to what's really going on in the inside. So let's fix what's going on inside so you can manifest the reality that you choose to live in. So saying that, I wanted to talk about a couple different things. How is life having living with mental health disorders? So life in general is difficult as it is, but having mental health disorders can definitely impact your life in a negative way. Sometimes it can be positive, but most time is negative. It causes your thinking to change. It causes you to it affects your ability to concentrate. It affects your day-to-day activities, especially if you don't have it under control. And as sometimes some days can be better than others, but in the most part, for overall, you don't feel like yourself. And so what happens is what we feel, we react to what we're feeling, and sometimes those reactions can be in a negative way. I suffer from panic and anxiety. I have OCD, and sometimes depression. Like it has gotten better, but it's still there, and also PTSD. And so things that I do is that I try to control certain things before it happens. I try to avoid certain situations that I know is going to affect it, but life happens and we can't always control the space that we're in, so we got to learn to navigate through it. And it can be difficult at times. I have ups and downs, but pretty much lately I have more ups, but for me, it's just an internal struggle, right? An internal struggle to become who I need to be for myself. A lot of things have happened to me, but I don't have to continue to allow them to happen. And that's what I want people with mental health disorders to realize, that things happen to us and that we can't control them, but we can stop them from continuing to hurt us. And I know the hurt sometimes feel like it's a comfort space, right? We're so used to it, we can't see anything different. And that's how I used to think, right? I thought my pain was all that I knew. I didn't know life outside of that. And when things do start to change for the better, we kind of question it. Like, this is not really who we are, but it is, though. It's a better version of who we are. And the only way to get to that point is to do the work that's necessary. How do we overcome all of this? By doing the work, by accepting responsibility and accountability for ourselves. Um, how does mental health disorder affect your life? It can affect yourself personally. When you struggle with mental health disorders, it affects not only yourself, it affects your mental, your emotional, your physical, and your spiritual self. It affects your environment, because if you don't have it under control, it affects people around you as well. Your relationships, if you don't have it under control, if it and if you're not doing the work, you can damage a lot of relationships dealing with your mental health and also your health. Certain mental health disorders can affect your health. You can overeat, or you can do drugs, alcohol. You can self-harm. You can harm others. So paying attention to these. Also, accountability. I say this because a lot of times we want to blame others for stuff that's going on in our own life. Like, granted, we can't control having mental health disorders, but we can do something about it. And I know sometimes the headspace prevent us from going to get the help we need, right? Especially if you're scared to go out in public, if you're scared to be around people, it will prevent you from reaching out. But at the end of the day, we have ourselves, right? We are responsible for ourselves. And so we have to step outside of that. Like, even if it's scary, right? We have to be the ones to reach out, because people can be there to help us, but that is as far as it goes, right? They can't do all the work for us, and we can't expect them to. And I know in the headspace, you feel like you need everyone to help you, or sometimes you don't want to help. And if you don't want to help, then there's nothing more that anyone can do. Like, we have to choose when we stop letting the hurt take over us. And it can take time. Like, anything that we do requires consistent efforts. We can't expect change to happen overnight, especially if we're not willing to do the work behind it. A lot of times people look to others to solve their own issues, and I strongly believe that everything that we need is inside of us, right? The voice that's in our head, if we listen to it, it'll tell us exactly what we need. But a lot of times we don't pay attention to it. We don't want to listen to ourselves. We don't want to make the changes necessary to have a better life, because and that means that we have to change everything. We have to change the way we look at things. We have to change the way we behave. and we got so comfortable in our old way of doing that nothing else seems possible. But in order to get the life that we want, we have to make those changes. And so give a couple definitions. Accountability. Accountability is an obligation or willingness to accept responsibility or to account for one's actions. So holding yourself accountable for yourself and being responsible. Their definitions are kind of similar, but I just want people to know that you are not alone, and that a lot of people suffer just as well. I just want people to get get enough courage to go out and get the help that they need before it's too late. Trying to prevent something that doesn't have to happen, right? Um, and if people don't want, and it's a shame, some people don't want help, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, if you don't want help, if you don't want to get help yourself, you can't keep blaming other people. I know things have happened that are beyond your control, right? A lot of times when I was suffering, I was blaming other people, blaming situations, and until I took account for myself. So I had to decide when I was at rock bottom that I needed therapy because I couldn't do it by myself. And it was a scary situation. It took like a year or so for me to finally say I had enough of dealing with this. And so it's going to take time for you, but you decide when you are ready to start the journey so that you can live your life the best that it can. Life doesn't have to be as hard if you reach out your hand. It's okay to need help. It's okay to need somebody. We're not meant to be alone. We're not meant to exist alone. We can't do everything ourselves. And so people are there for us, for support and for everything. We just have to take that next step to doing that. How does mental health disorder affect our actions in everyday to-day life? It can control us, especially if you're in a headspace. I know with panic and anxiety, it creates situations, right? You're fearful. When you have an anxiety, you get heart palpitations, you start sweating, you feel like something's crawling all over your body, you get headaches, you feel like you want to just run away, and so you do. You keep yourself isolated, right? And you want to be with people, but the disorder causes you not to want to be with people. And so it definitely affects relationships because people wondering why you don't call, wondering why you don't come out often, and this is why. And so taking back control over yourself can make some of them issues go away. How do we navigate through life having mental illness? We just have to, right? We have to find a way that works best for us, and everything doesn't work for everyone, so you have to choose what path you decide to take, but make sure it's one that you decide to take and not everyone else's. A lot of times we ask for people's advice, right? We look for answers in other people, and then when they give us advice and they give us the answers, it's not what we exactly looking for, but we expect them to give us what we need when we don't give us what we need for ourselves. And so this is all about, self-care and self-loving. We have to choose ourselves first, choosing ourselves, choosing the help that we need to get our mind together so that we can enjoy our life as we have it. And we only here for a certain amount of time, and so we want to be able to enjoy every moment that we have, and we don't want to live in pain longer than we have to. So you don't have to suffer any more than you have to. You choose when the pain stops. And a lot of factors can contribute to why we suffer from mental health disorders. So genetics play a role, right? Genetically, if your parents, your siblings, your grandparents suffer from certain disorders, you may wind up with those. I know in my family, I have panic anxiety, so does my sisters and my brothers. And so in turn, like my mom had it and my cousins have it. And so I have to, accept that fact that it may be the reason partly why I had it, but it's not the end of it all. Environment also plays, relationships and situations that you may be in, trauma, childhood trauma, everything can affect reasons why people have mental health disorders. And biological, it just may be a chemical imbalance that has nothing to do with either, or they can all coexist with each other. So trying to figure out what's going on with you. That's why it's important to, reach out for help, go to your doctor, go to therapy. It may be some tests run. And certain illnesses actually can cause mental health disorders. I know if you have diabetes or high blood pressure or cholesterol, it can cause panic and anxiety. And so it's important to get tested first when you do go to therapy. Most therapists suggest that you do go to a doctor and get a physical first so that you can so you can rule out any physical illness that maybe contribute to that. And if it comes back negative, now we got to do the mental work and the internal work. And that is what is the hardest part. Like sometimes it takes digging, right? You don't realize how things affect you until it comes out in a wrong way. Like things that happen in your childhood definitely affect you as you become an adult, and we don't realize it, right? We don't realize certain behaviors that we have, reasons why relationships don't last, reasons why we can't hold down a job, reasons why we drink too much. Everything plays a part in how our life becomes, but we as adults, we choose how we see our life. We choose how our life can be. A lot of things happen. We can't change the past, but we can change now, and we can change moving forward. And I think that's what people are afraid of. They don't know what's coming forward, so we stay comforted in our past. And it's a scary thing, right? We never know what goes on from day to day, and all we can live is for the moment, and we can appreciate our time for the moment and be grateful for the time that we have, and just make each moment enjoyable. And suffering makes those moments, not as important. But in order to break the suffering, you have to do the work behind it. You have to dig deep. You gotta deal with your pain, and it's hard, especially if you dealt with a lot of things. I've dealt with death at a very young age. I dealt with, isolation at a young age, and didn't know how it affects me until I got older. Why I, have been attacked by mental health disorders. But as I became an adult, as I began my journey of healing, yes, at times I do still revert back to those states, but and at least now I have the tools I need to navigate through my life the way that I need to, so I can create the life, and you can too. You have to choose what road to take, right? You can go to therapy if that's your option. They have medication to help. They also, a lot of people use religion as a form of help, and then for me, I decided to go to do chakra healing, and chakras are just energies in our body, right? There are energies that we all have, and so when they're out of balance, they create issues in our body, right? Physical issues, mental issues, and so I use that as a tool to help me. And not that every day is perfect. I think people think once we solve one issue that'll solve everything. No, like life doesn't happen like that. But it helps, right? It helps when you have a plan. It helps when you have, routine. It helps when you know where you're going from day to day, and having that plan, right, of action can help you deal with your issues in the moment, and you have to be consistent about it. And I think a lot of times people start stuff and they don't finish it because it's hard, right? It's hard to stay consistent because we have to change how we do things, right? Our routine has to be changed. But when you start to do new things, at first it does seem odd, but over time it becomes a routine, and now you will be able to have the tools you need to navigate through your life better. And that's what this is all about. How do we live having mental health illness? And it's possible. It's possible when you take back control over your life, but you have to be the one willing to do the work it takes, and that's what's hard, right? We're so afraid, I think, to become who we need to be. I think sometimes mental health issues kind of block our creativity. It blocks us from seeing the bigger picture, and that's why I use chakra healing as a way to navigate through my life, because it opens up parts of you that you never knew existed before. It opens up a whole new way of thinking. It challenges you to, dig deep and heal those wounds that need to be healed, why you do things the way that you do. And it offers of a way of healing, but it is painful to go through, right? We don't want to deal with stuff that's in our past, but if we don't heal from our past, how can we have a vibrant future or present? Those issues don't just go away because we stop momentarily thinking about them. Subconsciously, we are thinking about them. Our body reacts off of our thoughts, right? And so our thoughts send messages to our cells, and our cells respond, and that's why we get triggers, and that's why we overreact sometimes. We may yell, we may throw things, we may drink too much, we may eat too much, we may scream and yell too much. Everything is a factor in why we suffer the way that we do. And we need to do something to take control back over our life. We have to be responsible for the choices that we make. Our experiences definitely shape us. So everybody has their own experiences and reasons why they have mental health issues. And they shape us to who we are, but we can create our own shape. We don't have to become who our trauma decided who we're going to be, right? When trauma happens to you, it kind of keeps you in this bubble. It keeps you in a childlike, because you're afraid. And so when you're afraid, you don't step outside of the box. But then you drown in your own stuff, right? You self-harm yourself, not like physically, but you do it in other ways, and you prevent yourself from living life to the fullest. And life is too short to be miserable all the time. And I don't want people to think that I'm trying to sound mean, but like, I get it. I get being in that negative headspace, the negative thinking all the time, and all it does is drive you more crazy. I know it does for me. Like, I have OCD really bad, and realizing that my thought process affects my body, like the more negative thinking that I do, the more it affects my anxiety and my panic, and then it can lead to depression. And we don't want to stay in that space too long. Like, it's okay to not have great days every day. No one's happy, 24/7, but overall your life should bring you some joy. Who wants to live life just existing? We want to live. We were not made to just exist. And so having tools in order to live that life will help you get the most out of your life. But you have to decide today. Decide that you have heard enough. Decide what path you're going to choose in order to make your life the way that you want. Create your own reality. That's what I tell people all the time. We have the power within ourselves to create whatever reality we want. And sometimes it may take getting away from everything that you're used to, right? Everyone that you're used to. You may have to take that move. You may have to quit a job, especially if it's toxic. You don't have to be where you are. You choose to. There are things that you can do, and sometimes circumstances prevent it, but you start making moves. Small moves lead to greater rewards, right? And so the more tiny steps that you make, you'll get larger results. But you have to be the one to take the first step. And taking that step outside of where you're at can be scary, because you don't know what's on the other side, right? We don't know what's to come of it. We are afraid of, I think, becoming who we are truly meant to be. And mental health does not define, or disorders doesn't define us, right? The stigma doesn't define us. I know society says that, right? It's hard to speak up about having, disorders. I remember when I used to go through them years ago. I didn't tell people what was going on with me. I used to keep myself isolated. I didn't come out. I used to show up late, and people used to get angry at me not knowing why I was late because I was having a panic attack. And so now I make it known that, like, hey, I suffer from this. And even in conversation, if I'm having a conversation with people and I'm like, hey, I'm dealing with this. A lot of times I'll drive and I'll be having a panic and anxiety attack, and I'll let people know, hey, or I'll be a few minutes late. I know the world doesn't work like this, right? The world isn't sensitive to people with mental health disorders. Their whole thing is just, suck it up, or they give you a pill. A lot of times medication is the first solution. They think it's going to solve things, but what medication does is it only attacks one thing. It may solve one issue, but then it causes you a whole lot of issues. And so it doesn't get to where you need to be, right? It doesn't solve the pain. It doesn't take it away. And so knowing that you are okay just the way you are, breaking the stigma, um, not having a label on you. And I think that's what's hard, right? I think that's why a lot of people don't go seek out therapy, because they don't want to get labeled. And so don't allow people's opinions to affect you getting the help that you need so you can enjoy your life the best that you can. You have a right to stand up for yourself. We go to the doctors to get healed for our body, so why not go somewhere to get healed for our mind? Why not find a solution to it? There are so many different ways, and I keep saying this because I want people to know that they are not alone. Start somewhere small. If you don't want to get outside of your house or talk to someone on the phone, I started with Facebook groups, reaching out to people in those groups, having people that have things in common with you. But then also, if you have that one person that you can relate to, someone that you can feel comfortable enough with to share your experiences with, that makes life that much easier. But you have to reach out to, like, everyone. And then if you're someone that knows people that are suffering, or if you haven't heard from someone in a while, just check on them. It's okay to be kind. It's okay to reach out. Some people don't know what it means to have a friend or be a friend. And so sometimes we have to take it on our own self to be that friend that someone needs. Like, a lot of people suffer in silence because they feel like they are alone. And I'm here to tell you, you're not alone. You can reach out. If you ever want to have a conversation about the chakra healing way that I do, just message me. It's definitely a unique way of healing. It's definitely different, but it has challenged me to become more of myself, and I appreciate the path that I'm on. I appreciate the experience. I appreciate having the opportunity to be able to grow into myself, and I'm just getting started, and it's a journey. And always remember that nothing is a quick fix. When you suffer from mental health issues, there's no cure. They have things that they can do to help make life better, or to make have longevity, but there's no cure. And so if there is no cure, you have to create that life that you want, knowing that there is no cure. Sometimes we keep ourselves locked in a box, right? Our mental state keeps us in that box, and so we can't see no way out. And so if we know, hey, if there's something wrong with us, our body reacts to our thoughts. And so if we keep telling ourselves that, oh, it's something wrong with me, I'm never going to get better, so in turn your body's going to tell you you're never going to get better. I believe in self-healing. A lot of times when I get sick or get a cold, I know what to do right away. Like, I have a meditation that I do. I follow a certain routine. I know how to heal myself, and you can too. But it takes you to hold yourself with that much responsibility, and you can do it. We're stronger than we think. I know a lot of times we don't think that we're strong. We compare ourselves to everyone else. We're looking around like thinking everyone has it better than we do. But you're stronger than what you think. Again, you're here for a reason. And so if you're here for a reason, that means you have purpose. And it's up to you to figure out what your purpose is. And this is a journey for yourself. And I'm hoping that one day, if you haven't already, that you decide that you are enough and you're worthy enough and you are valuable enough to have the life that you want. By deciding that you had enough, you're going to stop letting the hurt control you, and you're going to take back control over your life, because you deserve to be happy. So I want to thank each and every one for tuning in. Make sure you tune in each and every Sunday at 12 p.m. cmpradio.net on Facebook. Again, visit my website, www.becomeyourc.com, to learn about all the information that I've discussed. Follow me on Instagram, Become Your C, Facebook, BYC, Become Your C. Also, YouTube, you can listen to all my previous podcasts, is BYC, Become Your C. And remember, we are not our labels. We are not the stigmas. We are ourselves, and we deserve to be happy. So create your reality, and choose the life that you choose to live. Remember to fall in love with yourself so the world can fall in love with you. Till next time.